And here we go on this Monday evening in the city, 6 o'clock straight up, which means it is time for an all-new Real Talk Memphis. Welcome in, welcome in. I am your program host. My name is Chip Washington. Very happy to be back in the air chair again this week, and happy to have you out there checking us out as well. You know, we hang out here each and every Monday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time just to inform and entertain you. And we are here tonight to do the very same thing. So a couple of things. Obviously, the weather is still warm. It was 96 degrees today. And I said that at the top to combine the fact that there are still many people who are not with power right now. We had a big storm move through here Saturday evening, and at its worst, 140,000 people lost power. Now, before I got here, there was a press conference that was being held, and so right around 32, I think, thousand are still without power, which is still a lot of people. But they're moving as quickly as they can in terms of restoring power. That storm rolled through and caused quite a bit of damage. If you were fortunate enough not to lose power, God was on your side, no doubt about that. But there are many folks who are still trying to deal with it. And in terms of all of that, we need to check on our people, check on your family, check on your friends, your colleagues to make sure that they are okay. And if they lost power, if they need anything, you know, it is time for us to now get out of ourselves and get into the business of trying to make sure that all of our other people and friends out there are going to survive this. Now, we heard from MLGW earlier today that they are looking to have most, if not all, of the power restored by Thursday. But so far, they restored about 105,000 people since the event on Saturday. So again, we are praying, at least I'm praying, for those of you who are still having to grapple with and deal with this power outage, especially during the heat of the summer, and that you are being befriended by individuals who will give you a cool place to stay, or so the city and the county have some places as well that you can go, so you don't have to stay in a very hot house for the next several days. So we'll keep a close eye on that, and like I said before, prognostic thoughts in reference to all of this from the officials say by Thursday we ought to be pretty well taken care of in terms of all of this. Good show for you tonight. I hope that you can hang with us for the next hour. Some great guests in terms of all of that as well. I'll get to that in just a second. But how do you get this fine piece of radio broadcasting? Well, several ways. Of course, right now, 91.7 on your FM dial live. That would be WYXR. You can also find us on the WYXR app. We are on the TuneIn, TUNEIN app. And we are live streaming the show on Facebook Live. So if you want to see what it is you can see, you can go to my page and you can watch the show live there as well. And when the show posts, it will be on YouTube. And we are also a podcast. So you will be able to pick us up wherever it is you get your podcast. I was talking to somebody the other day about the show. And they were like, yeah, well, I heard the show. And then they said, well, you know, you're on Apple Podcasts. I was like, well, well, I'm glad to know that I'm on Apple Podcasts, so that somebody who was listening there actually saw or heard my show. So that's always a good thing. Now, speaking of this, I'm going to ask you a favor that doesn't take a lot out of you. We have our show, which is on YouTube. And, you know, YouTube has everything on it, right? People have shows and everything else on there. Well, we have our show and our channel on there. Real Talk Memphis is the name of the show, and I would like you to subscribe. If you subscribe, then you can hear everything that we're doing, the live shows, and you know, you don't miss a thing when you subscribe to it. Now, we're also incorporating something called some shorts, which basically at some point during the show, we pick a bite, sound bite that you know, has a little something to it. And Bren actually produces that a little short, about a minute and a half of a guest and something that they said that might be of interest to you. So we're incorporating the shorts. Lulu is the one that puts the whole show on YouTube. So I said I'd like to say this. You can subscribe to YouTube. You can subscribe to Real Talk Memphis so you don't miss a thing. We do some pretty good stuff around here. If you hadn't checked it out, please do yourself a favor and actually do that. Okay, so on to the guest list for this evening. First up, in just a couple of minutes, we have City Councilwoman, Memphis City Councilwoman in District 7, Michalyn Easter Thomas, joins me to talk about a few things that are happening in and around our city. A little bit later on, we are going to be talking about newly elected County Commissioner District 8. His name is Will Richardson, and we'll find out what his agenda is as he begins his climb in that seat starting next week. And a little bit later on, we'll be talking with KeShaun Pearson, and KeShaun is a community activist, and he's also president of the Memphis Communities Against Pollution organization. You heard about AI, right? XAI. You heard about all of these data centers and a lot of other things that are happening that people really are not too happy about. Well, KeShaun has been on this track for a few years now, and it seems like it's coming to a head in a lot of communities, not just here in Memphis, but across the country as well. These data centers on behalf of AI are not good things. And we're going to have a conversation with him about all of this a little bit later on in the second half hour of the show. You don't want to miss that. So there's a rundown of what you can expect this evening. But first things first, we always like to celebrate those who are celebrating a birthday. And we have several of those happening today, but I can't do it until I say, hit it, Lulu. And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis. I am your host. Okay, I'm hearing. I gotta tell you. I'm hearing myself. Huh? Just go on, but I'm hearing myself. I'm hearing. Okay, cool. Happy birthday going out to the following folks. Ramel Bowen celebrating today. Alonzo Mayfield, happy birthday to you. Jewel Parker Christian celebrating her birthday today. Eric Honeycutt, happy birthday to you, my friend. Happy birthday to Victoria Hall, Yvonne Moody, Tamika Coopwood Anderson celebrating her birthday today. This is Willie Ellis Brinson, Malakia Curran celebrating her birthday today, and Coletta Jackson Payton, all celebrating birthdays today. Well, first and foremost, I hope that it has been a day full of love and laughter. And, of course, from all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, happy birthday to you. And we, of course, hope to be with you when you take your next trip around the sun in 2027. Thank you, Lulu. So let's take a quick look at some news and notes, shall we? The case in which two jailers, former Shelby County deputy jailers, were on trial for the murder of one of the inmates, Gershon Freeman. The jury voted one guilty, one was convicted, and the other one was acquitted in this case. Now, there are 7 other officers who were also indicted as co-conspirators in all of this. Their trial is coming up soon. So we don't know exactly when they're expected back in court, but they will be back in court soon. Courtney Parham was one of the 2 initial jailers, and he was convicted on 2 lesser charges. Well, as we prepare to welcome in a newly groomed group of legislators into their particular positions starting next week, one who is winding down his time as the Shelby County Mayor, Lee Harris, has already found his next gig, and he will transition from the Shelby County Mayor's office and politics back into teaching. He's going to join the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss, as a law professor. Prior to becoming mayor, he was actually a faculty member at the University of Memphis School of Law for 13 years. So he's going back to the classroom. He says he enjoys teaching these young minds about law. So he will be doing that at Ole Miss probably sometime in the fall. And as I talked about at the top, and all of us are already well aware of the storm that blew through Saturday evening. Straight line winds at up to 80 miles an hour blew through. It was very unexpected. I mean, I had no idea it was supposed to even rain on Saturday, but nonetheless it did, and that thing came roaring through and caused major damage in a lot of areas, leaving about 140,000 folks, as I said, without power. As of today, over 100,000 people have been restored power-wise, and there's about little over 30,000 folks from last I heard that are still being affected with these outages. But the folks at MLGW brought in a lot of outside crews and a lot of other folks to help to restore this power as soon as possible. So if you're still out, pray that you will be recovered and you will have power restored once again very, very soon. Of course, Memphis and Shelby County schools canceled classes today because of the storm. But I hadn't heard an update, but I'm assuming that most of the classes will resume tomorrow. I'm sure before nightfall, we'll find out what they're going to do and what their plans are in terms of school tomorrow. That is a quick look at news and notes. And we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the conversation. Just in case you were wondering, this is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. We're preparing for a lot of good conversation tonight. I hope you can hang with us. We'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip with you, and I'm very happy to have my first guest join me. I have not spoken with her on this platform for a few years now, and I'm happy to be able to have a conversation with her. Please welcome to the show Dr. Michalyn Easter Thomas. She is Memphis City Councilwoman over District 7. And Michalyn, it's great to have you on the show, but I want to ask first and foremost, did you lose power? Are you okay in terms of all of that with your household?
So, thankfully, power was restored. Chip,
Okay.
thanks for asking.
Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of spotty all over the city. So, I know for sure our folks were working hard. So I'm just thankful for the linemen and getting stuff is back on as quickly as it really did across the city.
Absolutely that. We heard a little while ago about 30,000, a little over 30,000 are still out of power right now or without power, but they are working, as you say, as quickly as they can. They got a lot of
From
crews in
about
here.
130.
Huh?
So from 130,000 to that,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Over 100,000 plus got power back.
in under 48 hours. That's some work.
That is some work. You're exactly right,
That's some
and we
work.
praise all of them for doing such a yeoman's job in terms of this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you remember. I remember interviewing you when I believe
I remember.
you were first running. You were first. There was
How
your
could I
first.
forget Chip Washington?
A lot of folks can do that, but that's okay. What I do, but I remember that, and I thought to myself, and I promise you, I thought this. I said, you know what? She's very smart and very dynamic, and I think if she is elected, she will do a very good job. If you looking back on from the time you came on the council to where things are right now, how would you say? What would you say in terms of you, in terms of the what you have learned, the impact of serving so many folks in your community, as to where you are right now? What would you say about that?
Yeah, well, I don't think I have enough time in my segment to go in depth, but every day I do thank God for the opportunity to serve and think about have I been living up to that opportunity that He's given me. And so I would say I've done my absolute best considering all the COVID that came when I first started. So we were sworn in January 1, 2020. So everything that I thought that I was going to do got quickly turned around, but was able to use those opportunities to learn and to serve more and to be able to really dig down into how the city functions and how that can come out through my work.
Having said that, and you said you've been there since 2020, and this is 2026 now, and of course, there's always something. There's always an issue or two or three or five that needs to be addressed. And one of the things that you guys are that the body is dealing with right now, and it's becoming a bit of an issue. For a lot of folks, not only here but across the country, is this situation with these data centers that are popping up not only here in Mississippi but across the country. And you all were having discussions last week about putting a moratorium on the development of more data centers. Why was that an important thing?
I think it's important because once you know better, you do better,
Mm,
right?
okay.
And so just to be clear, and I think this was said on the dais when we were debating this last week, we as a council did not have ample information as a whole before this rolled out. We also didn't have any authority either. The things that our forefathers of this city did was pass zoning allowances and restrictions, depending on where you live. And these really already by right allow for certain things to happen in a lot of our neighborhoods. And so it's kind of a twofold, right? So hopefully, if this moratorium passes by will of the body, we'll really take these 12 months to look at all that we can, not just around data centers, but just putting forth this larger issue of environmental justice or injustice in our Black and brown and underserved communities of the city, which are more than a few, right? So, as I said, you know better. When you know better, you do better, and you can't act like you don't know. We can't act like we don't read and see the news every day. And so this is not a moratorium is not new, I will say. So data centers aren't new in the city of Memphis, and
Right.
this moratorium isn't new as we look around nationally. So I'm glad that we kind of have an appetite as a council to really see what we can do to slow down and learn and implement something different.
You're very right when you say that. It is nothing new, but again, we suffered as a city, as a community, from a lack of information, or as much information as they wanted to give us about all of this. And then you turn around and you find out that there's some other things going on the back end of it. So again, like
Yeah.
you said, this is not just a here thing, but this is across the country. And I think, and maybe you can co-sign on this, that more and more people are starting to understand what this is about, and really realizing that there's some things about this that are a bit disturbing in terms of what they're doing and their function. Am I correct?
I agree absolutely with you, Chris. Yep.
Yeah. And I think again more people here, because for a long time there was a lot of confusion. We were hearing, now we know that the mayor and the folks over at the chamber responsible for trying to drive in, get in new business and things like that. But it seems to me that it came at the cost of some information and some things that were happening that people just didn't know about. And because of the work and because of the push and because of the effort, and a lot of you put forth a lot of all of this too. Information is power, and people deserve, if they're living in a community, to understand everything that goes into a particular project. And
Yeah.
this is kind of what I see in this. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't not say, right, the organizations and the folks on the ground who are also putting forth this information and this demand for accountability as well. So you have the Southern Environmental Law Center, you have I think it's MCAP, Memphis Community Against Pollution.
Right.
And you have Young, Gifted, and Green. You have a lot of organizations that are holding folks' foot to the fire, as they should, right? So you would say your representatives, we all 13 of us, should represent you well, give you as much information as possible. However, sometimes we don't get the privy of having all that information.
Right.
But as I said, when you're exposed to, when you're shown, when you're given new information, it should alter your thinking, right? We should never depend on one organization or one entity, such as the chamber or whomever else, to give us 100% truth and make decisions for everybody. So we should not depend on one, no matter who it is.
So, and we'll be keeping a very close watch on all of this. Something else that was brought up last week by Police Chief C.J. Davis. Now, we've been dealing with the Safe Task Force now for about a year, with National Guardsmen here, with the Mississippi, with the Tennessee troopers here as well. And there was conversation that is starting to emanate a bit about It's been about a year, and I don't know if I got this right or not, but I heard that maybe the contract for housing the highway, I mean the National Guards folks may be up. And is there a conversation starting to emanate a bit about uh, are they going to stick around? Are they going to leave? What's the conversation being generated about that?
So the main conversation I'll say is that your general gubernatorial elections are in November. And so if you're wondering how the National Guard got here,
Yeah,
show up to your voting location in November.
yeah,
And so, yes, the contract for a hotel is ending only because there will be a new governor elected for the state of Tennessee. But as we all know, contracts can get extended, contracts can get renewed. So the only way to really, for us as people, to show how our feelings are towards the National Guard are to go vote for a governor in November.
you know, and having said that, and that's a very and that's even a bigger reason for people for folks to be able to vote. Now we've heard since the Safe Task Force has been in effect around here, over 11,000 people have been arrested, and a lot of other things that were going on in terms of the effect of this additional set of law enforcement individuals here. What do you think in terms of their? Would you consider it a success? Would you consider it? I mean, a lot of people have a lot of different thoughts about all of this additional here in our city. The police chief says that we were starting to trend down before they even got here. So I'm just
That's
curious
true.
as to what your take is on all of that.
So, Chip, I mean, you've been keeping up. I'm proud of you.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
You're coming with the information. But yeah, our crime has been trending down before they got here. Now with our recent storm Saturday evening, if the National Guard would have pulled out the shovels and the boots and the bags and the water bottles over the weekend,
Mm,
maybe I'd have different thoughts. Right. But what we typically have seen the National Guard deployed for, we have not seen that. And I think one of the um, less discussed impacts of having the safe task force, I'm using my quotes, I don't know if people can see that,
right.
um, is that it gets you used to having a police state in your city,
Mm.
right? An unneeded presence that does not contribute to community or really just a personal feeling of authority and safety. And I think that going unguarded, that really will put an impact on us as Memphians, on our youth, as folks who may look at, or may have been looking at military service or police service. So I think that that's something that's not discussed enough. I know that it is in some spaces, but as for me, that's one of the major impacts is that you don't want to get used to feeling as though you don't belong, or you're being watched consistently for, or you're being assumed to be the bad guy in any situation.
You know, that what you just said reminds me of another component of this, which is ICE. And they are still ever present, and there are still many people who are very fearful of their presence here in town because of some things that we've heard in terms of tactics and some of the other things that are going on in terms of what they do. Are you, what is your take on that particular group and how they are definitely affecting a lot of the population here in our city?
Same one, Chip. Not helpful. I haven't seen any positive data. Another reason to go to the polls is we get these midterms started. So,
Yeah, yeah.
we just got to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and having a Memphis the way Memphians need and want it.
I
And
think
ICE and the unsafe task force
unsafe
is
task.
contributing to that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people share your opinion. So it was a little surprising to me when I heard that the conversation was about to come up. But you make a good point because we're about to get a new administration around here, and that will probably determine whether they stay or whether they go. And I think that if you took a survey, I think most people, and it's interesting to me, you talk to some folks and they say, well, they have made a difference, a positive difference, and then there are other folks that say, well, no, not necessarily in terms of all of that. So if the police chief is saying, well, we made great strides, and a lot of the arrests and things that we've made as a department versus them assisting us in all of this,
Yeah.
seems to, for me, to set up an interesting dynamic as to how this thing moves forward. How about you?
Yeah, I'm right with you, Chip. We should talk more often. We
Well, you,
I like the way you thinking.
well, you told me I knew I was going to have to prep when I had you on the show. I knew that I had to do my due diligence on here. But it really is, as we continue to move forward as a city, making progress in a lot of areas. If the last question for you, if you had to sort of summarize or think back to the time that you have been on the council, what are some of the proudest moments not only as a legislator but in this city that you could look back on and say, you know what, really proud of the effort of so many folks in a particular area? What would it be?
Oh wow. One thing that I can say kind of is a theme of things that I'm proud of is that I've stuck to one of the major tenets that I ran on, which was transparency in government. And so I've been able to lead and garner the support of my colleagues on a lot of different efforts that promote transparency in government. Whether it be the stopping pretextual stops with our MPD, whether it be having the first ever redistricting committee
Hmm.
after the census came out in 2020, um, whether it be trying to establish participatory budgeting, um, just countless, not countless, but just a couple efforts in that, all right, how can we ensure that people have a role in government? And also know that government should be working with you and not doing anything to you. But that we can also help do things for you as well if you have voted the right folks in those positions.
Well, listen, I know for a fact that you are an absolute great, not addition to, but you're a member of this board. I've watched you, and I've been to several city council meetings, and you have done your due diligence on so many of these issues, and you don't let folks get away with too much. And I like that too, by the way. And I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to come on the show and talk with me again. I promise you that it won't be as long the next time I have you on as it was the
Yeah.
first time I had you on. Dr. Michalyn Easter Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, City Councilwoman, District 7. Thank you, my friend, for coming on the show, and best of success down the road for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Chip.
Absolutely.
Shout
Thank
out
you.
to your great studio folks there, making it go seamless. So kudos to y'all too.
There you go. I like that. Boy, she's on her. Look at it. They're clapping, patting themselves on the back. Thank you, Michael, and I appreciate that. There you go. Let's take a break, ladies and gentlemen. And that was great. That was a great interview. That was a great interview. She's something, I tell you. But let's take a quick break, and the show is moving quickly forward. And when we come back, we will continue on this Monday ride we like to call Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. Quick break. Right back. It's real talk. 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 And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. And the beat rolls on, ladies and gentlemen. My next guest is the newly elected District 8 County Commissioner. Now, I know for a fact that Will has been a pillar in this community for a very long time. He's a business owner. He's very involved in what is happening out here, and he ran. And I'm not ashamed to say that I was really pulling for him in this election, and he won. So please welcome to the show, Will Richardson. County Commissioner elect District 8. Will, it's great to see you, my friend, and congratulations.
Hey, thank you, Chip, for your support, and of course, this platform, which allows us to have important dialogue in this season.
So let me ask you, just off the top here, why did you decide that it was time for you? Now you've run before, but why did you decide? Because you've hung in there and you've seen a lot and you've done a lot in this community. But why was it so important for you to want to be a part of this body?
Well, I think the most important thing is that the people wanted to support me in this season, and those numbers reflected throughout the election. But also just following the footsteps of County-elect Mayor Lowry and seeing the work that he was doing. And so I just wanted to elevate that role and continue the work that's being done in District 8.
Well, obviously, it's a bit of a climb. The county commission has got, as you know, there are a lot of issues right in front of us here in terms of all of this, and several of them involve you all directly and up front. So the biggest issue is the need for a new jail. And I've heard you have conversation about all of that. But in terms of that, Will, what is your thought process before you really start to dig into all of the things that none of us really know? How do we get to that particular level? Or do you want to see a new jail? Do you want to see it moved? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think the first thing we need to recognize is that the jail has been there since 1979, and so it's pretty outdated. A lot of the things that we have in play now, as far as technology is concerned, or just systems as a whole, are outdated, and so that kind of puts a strain on the actual system that the jail system is designed to run up under, but also the wear and tear of the building itself. There are so many issues that need to be addressed, and so I think that in this moment we have to make a serious decision. We can't keep kicking the can down the road when it comes to making a decision. I think that the assessments will show that a new jail is definitely needed, in my opinion. I think the big question is, where will we place this jail, and how fast can we get it built to get this new system in play?
Well, in terms of that too, well, one of the big questions is how do we pay for it? I mean, we've heard estimates about $1 billion in terms of all of this. How do we get to how do we get to that level from the commissioner perspective?
Well, I think that you have to look at it being state of the art. One, I think you have to also look at the capacity and room for growth. And if need be, my plan is to lower those numbers that are in the jail system right now through economic development. But we'll talk about that. But I just think that we're going to have to really do a deep dive and do some serious bidding to find who has the best price tag to build a new jail. And what that jail enhances, because we can't build it for today. You got to understand that when we build a new jail, if we decide to build a new jail, that this jail will too be here for the next 50 years. So we want to make sure that it can stand the test of time and be able to serve at a high capacity for years to come.
And speaking of that, and there's several other projects that are really kind of on the board right now. We're in the middle of building a brand new Regional 1, as you know. There's also a couple of high schools that are being built in terms of all of this as well. And there is the issue of the Memphis and Shelby County schools in terms of what happens with it. And let me, if you don't mind, I want to get your take on this appointed school board versus the elected school board, and you guys are right smack in the middle of all of this, helping to fund a legal authority to kind of step in here and figure out which way we're going. Do you have a particular thought, one way or another, in reference to that?
Well, I think that right now, it's going through the process, and so we'll see what that outcome is, and we'll have to adhere to that outcome when that decision is made final. But at the end of the day, I believe that Shelby County should be governed by Shelby Countyans, and so a body was elected, and whether you like them or not, they were elected by the people. And if we start a precedent that this is what we do when we don't like the way things are going, then that could spill over into the county commission, to the city council. And so I just think that each body needs to govern itself and allow that other entities to govern themselves.
Now, I believe you are one of 8 new members. Am I correct in that?
That's correct.
Okay, and so that's in terms of the dynamics of this board, and it's interesting. There were 4 Republicans that were voted in. There were 4 Democrats that were voted in. In terms of all of this, talk about the spirit of cooperation and communication as pertains to your colleagues, because clearly there are going to be a lot of very pressing issues that you're going to have to face directly in all of this, and being able to kind of absorb the way things are being done in the county commission, but more importantly, being able to get along with your colleagues to come up with the best answers to some very complicated and difficult questions that may come down the road.
Yeah, I think that this new body is quite interesting because it's one of the first times in a while that there have been this many new commissioners coming in,
Yeah.
more so than the current body has, which will be five. I think it's going to take us sitting down and just really focusing on the top three things that we want to agree upon that we need to get done in Shelby County, and I think you've listed those. I think those are no brainers for us. But I just want everybody. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody because at the end of the day, we all lay our heads down in Shelby County, and we want the best for Shelby County. And I just think that that just takes understanding each other's districts and the challenges that they face, and having some sympathy and some understanding when it comes to where those needs need to be placed. There are some places that need more resources than others,
Hmm.
and I think that if we just sit down and really look at it and do a deep dive on that, I think that we can agree on most things, and most things right now are needed are in our underserved and disenfranchised communities.
One of the things that newly elected Mayor-elect Mikhail Lowry, who's putting together a transition team and trying to get things in place here relatively quickly, said that right now, from where he sits, there are going to be some very challenging times ahead for the county. And he said there are going to be a lot of tough conversations and decisions that have to be made. Just based on what you kind of know coming into all of this, would you say that would be the case in terms of what moves ahead forward for us?
Yeah, I mean, we got some serious things. We got the jail, as you mentioned. We've got Regional One. We've got schools. We've got our juvenile center that has to be addressed. There are a lot of issues that we have to deal with. But I am confident with the experience and the wisdom that the current body has and the new guys coming in. We are all excited. We all have come from boots on the ground and community work. So we're ready for the job. I mean, day one, we signed up for it. We got voted in, thankfully, and I believe that this body will do things that need to be done, and we'll do them with some class. We'll do them with intentionality, and we'll get the desired outcomes that benefit Shelby County.
One final question for you. How valuable has it been for you? I stated at the beginning that you have been a very big time community guy, businesses, and you've been boots on the ground for a very long time, and you understand the city and the county pretty well. How valuable is that type of experience for you that you bring to this body of individuals?
Oh, I mean, right now, a lot of the new commissioners coming in have already called me, and we've had talks about what we want to do, and they want to know, they want to learn, and so we want to do tours together throughout our communities. We want to show each other what we have and what we don't have, and I'm willing to share with anybody over the years of experience I've had on the ground. I want to share that with all the commissioners, new and the ones that are there currently. I think that understanding is the best policy when it comes to making things happen in our communities. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm truly excited to be sitting in this seat because it gives me the opportunity to go from boots on the ground, which for me, I'm always going to be boots on the ground. Like that's where the work is really at. But it also gives me a position to sit behind the table, have a seat at the table that says, hey, these are the things that we want to put in play and put power to the pen or put pen to the power.
Ladies and gentlemen, County Commissioner-elect Will Richardson from District 8. He, along with everybody else, gets sworn in on Monday, and the work begins there. Will, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this evening. I'm sure as time moves along, you and I will be having more conversations as time moves along down the road for you. But congratulations, man, and the best of luck.
Thank you. Where there's a will, there's a way.
There you go, baby. That's it. That's how you close out a segment right there. Will Richardson, ladies and gentlemen. Good stuff there. Let's take one final break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about an issue that seems to be on a whole bunch of folks' minds, having to do with a little thing called XAI and data centers. We're not done yet, so don't get too uncomfortable. Just stay where you are. Relax. We have one more guest. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. And, one of the big issues that has been an issue for a while, but I think more people are starting to plug in to what it is all about, and that is this whole situation with XAI and these data centers. We heard that recently the city council here has decided to maybe put a moratorium on slowing this thing down. It's not just here in Memphis and Shelby County. This is becoming a nationwide deal. And I brought somebody on the show who can talk to us about it. He has been really at the forefront of this. I remember talking to him about this, a few years back when folks were trying to figure out, is it something good for us? Is it something bad for us? And he was telling us about some of the issues. Please welcome to the show, KeShaun Pearson. And he is a community activist. And this guy, let me tell you something about him. He works hard, and he has been working hard to inform our community about some of the things that are going on. And I think, KeShaun, first of all, thank you for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate that. And secondly, it sounds like the conversation is starting to sink in. How would you say that? What do you think in terms of people's awareness of just what is happening with this XAI and especially these data centers?
Yeah, first of all, Chip, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for truthfully being at the forefront of this conversation years ago. It has been, it was, I would say, a little bit frustrating towards the beginning. So many months ago where we were having this conversation and essentially yelling into a void. But now, at this point, we have over 70% of Americans who are against data centers. And so not only do people know about them, they are also aware of the harms that they present and are in opposition to it, just like me. What we have seen over the course of those 2 years here in Memphis has been a tremendous velocity of a build out of methane gas turbines that are powering the XAI facilities. And we went from the promise of prosperity that looked like jobs, that looked like clean water, to a reality where we have 4 hyperscale data centers using nearly 5 million gallons of water a day, that are also poisoning our air with pollutants like formaldehyde and nitrogen dioxide at levels we have not seen before.
Why do you think, KeShaun, that really this is becoming front and center now? Of course, what happened in South Haven, we all know about that, and I know you were very involved in all of that as well. They're building centers down there, and there was a noise pollution issue, and those folks rallied up big time about all of that. But now it seems like there's some building going on down there that the citizens aren't aware of. See, so this all comes off as a bit sneaky as far as I'm concerned. Saying one thing and doing another. Now, your organization, Memphis Communities Against Pollution, has really been out front in all of this. But when they started to take this thing across the line, state line down here in South Haven, and we saw what was going on, and we saw quickly how the population accepted all of this, you had to really say, see, people are starting to understand now what we've been talking about for the last several years. When all of that happened down there and all of the noise started getting louder out down there, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is true. We cannot ignore the racial and economic dynamics that are at play in the narrative around data centers and the pushback. It was not until Whitehaven got a dose of this and South Haven got a dose of this that we saw an acceleration of people's pushback. And unfortunately, when it's in a sacrifice zone, quote unquote, to quote Mustafa Santiago Ali, it is ignored. When it is the community that was built in Boxtown by, the scraps of boxcars by enslaved people, it wasn't the same level of energy and support. But when it did cross the state line, when there was an involvement of folks who were at a different economic level and who racially fit a different profile, then there was more involvement. But the truth about that is we are all suffering at the behest of these data centers and at the whims of these manic billionaires and their ideals for us all. I think what is happening with XAI only clearly illustrates that this is not a Black issue. This is not a white issue. This is not a rich issue. This is a everybody who is not a billionaire's issue.
We talked earlier about the fact that this movement, and it really does seem to be a movement, is starting to translate nationwide. I mean, there are people, I hear stories about this on the national news. There are folks that are talking about these data centers, and this is starting to spread, and people are really starting to pick up on exactly what this is all about and why for many it's not a very good thing. Does it surprise you that so many people now, and this is becoming a nationwide sort of a protest, if you will?
Actually, I'm not surprised. The more people know, the more people are going to push back. You are always at a disadvantage when folks are not educated about what's happening. And so the more people that are educated about what's happening, as well as the more people who are impacted, we got an opportunity to build a coalition like we have been doing across South Haven, across in Arkansas, and build a clean air coalition all across this region. It is going to take all of us to push back against the proliferation of data centers that we are seeing. What we know is that the toxins that are being emitted in our air at the rate that they are, the build out that is continuing at the cost to our lungs, the cost of our water, and the future that we know we deserve that has clean air, clean water, and clean soil for everybody. Paying that cost for billionaires is something that people are just vehemently against. And the more they know, and the more that they feel the effects. We have families over in South Haven who their children are being harmed by the noise pollution. Folks are having, eczema issues, and more people are having to deal with respiratory illnesses. More folks are being diagnosed with respiratory illnesses and having to get asthma pumps. We have folks who are in our movement who are now having to use asthma pumps on a daily. Folks who haven't had or suffered with asthma attacks in a decade and are now suffering asthma attacks like never before. And so this is all of our issue because it affects us all. Clean air is for everybody, and the air does not stop in South Haven. The air does not stop in South Memphis, where is a majority Black community. The air travels everywhere. And so this threat is a threat to us all. And if we don't do something now, the proliferation of XAI's footprint in Memphis is just going to continue to exacerbate the issues that we currently have. What we do know is that it is time to regulate data centers. It's time to regulate AI. And we are at an inflection point as it pertains to our city, our county, and truly our country, which is why I've worked with Congresswoman AOC, worked with Bernie Sanders on the moratorium for a national moratorium, and why I know for a fact what we need here in our city, in our county, to protect us so that we can build the right regulation is a moratorium. And this is what all of our elected officials have to stand behind.
Now, one final question in reference to what you just said. Our city council has brought this up, and they were starting to have discussions about this last week. And it looks like the majority of them are saying, you know what, this bears some watching here. How surprised were you when, even though you all were very successful from the ground roots perspective around here, that the buy-in for the city council in reference to whoa, let's slow this thing down a little bit, has started to come into play?
Yeah, honestly, it's unfortunate that it's literally taken the changing of the country and the pressure from an entire country in order for our local government to really change their tune and start to really push back against data centers. But we are happy to be here in this moment. And I can applaud the folks who are pushing for the regulation of data centers. And I want to be very clear that this is not a place where we need to consider what is going to happen to Elon Musk and his trillions of dollars. We need to prioritize people. We need to prioritize our clean drinking water, our clean air, and our future before we put businesses' profits first. And so I want to, definitely uplift all of our coalition partners like Young, Gifted, and Green, Black Voters Matter, Protect Our Aquifer, and, even my brother as well, who's Justin Pearson, Representative Justin J. Pearson, who's been a big part of pushing for the legislation from the grassroots level for over 2 years. We've been saying this, and now it's coming true. And so it is a revelation of a moment that's been 2 years in the making.
Well, it's absolutely validation, no doubt about it, because this is not something strange for people. Now, people are starting to hear about this on a regular basis, and you have been doing the work for a very, very long time. Listen, man, we're going to keep a very close eye on this and how this starts to progress. I really appreciate you taking time. You've been out front in all of this. You've been working hard with so many organizations who understand that people first is what matters around here. And I really want to thank you, KeShaun Pearson, for coming on the show. A lot of folks were excited about the fact that you were coming on tonight to talk a little bit about this, and I hope that we were able to help in that aid in that cause. But man, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I'll be keeping a close eye on things, and you and I will be talking down the road, no doubt about that.
All right. I'd love to talk soon.
All right,
Thank
man.
you, Chip.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you
I
all.
appreciate that. Yes, sir. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. KeShaun Pearson, and this data center, this is a big thing. This is a huge thing, as a matter of fact. I mean, you're starting to hear about this outside of Memphis and Shelby County, into Mississippi, and some places around the country as well. So we will keep a close eye on that, a close watch on that, as this effort continues to move forward. Great show tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed our guest. I know I did as well. Coming up next, Bren Butler, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he is the host of Event Horizon, which comes up here in just a couple of minutes. And he's been doing some good stuff here lately. Now, listen, I'm older than a lot of these folks around here. So in terms of the music, my tastes are a little bit different. But I told him before, and I say it again, he plays some stuff that gets my attention. Bren, you actually, you're catching my attention on all of this. I really kind of enjoy what you put down every now and again.
I like to hear it, Chip. I appreciate it. I like to hear it. You mentioned last week that as you were driving out of the parking lot, I played something early.
You did.
You
did.
liked.
You did. I was like,
Chip.
If you can get me, you can almost get anybody. I'm just gonna tell you right now,
Sure,
man.
great. That'll be great to hear. There's even a war track from like the mid '70s that I'll be playing first on Event Horizon.
See, this is what he does. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's why you can't leave this radio station. Brent is up next, and as Lulu plays us out, and her show, by the way, is on Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. It's called Cake Effects. And she didn't even think I would even remember that, but did I get it right? Okay, so she's nodding in approval. That's great. So listen, play us out. And listen, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this show, and I'm very sincere when I say this, go to our YouTube page, okay, and subscribe to our channel. It is Real Talk Memphis. See me in a jacket behind the mic looking all cool and everything. And subscribe so you can follow us and find us. And again, later on in the next few days, Brent is going to pick a good bite from one of our guests this evening, and we're going to have a short from this week's show, which hopefully will prompt you to actually listen to the show in its entirety. So for all of us here at Real Talk Memphis, for Brent, of course, who will be up with Event Horizon in just a moment, and for Lulu, my producer, we really appreciate you. And the we extends to me, and for your old humble host, me, appreciate you. Thank you, Memphis, and thank you for all of those who support this program. Keep supporting what we do. We appreciate it, and we appreciate you. So from all of us at Real Talk Memphis, we are out.